Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is going to be a look at my April 2026 TBR. If you're interested in hearing about the books I want to read this month, please stick around. As I said in my introduction, we're going to be talking all about the books that I want to read in April 2026. I decided to do something a little bit different with this month's TBR. We are still using TBR cards, 3 of which are from a set from Pippi Post. The other 3 are from a couple of sets that I got from an Etsy shop called Floor on Sunday. But one time last year, I think it was either October or November, I decided that I was going to create my TBR based solely on ARCs, review copies, and ALCs that I had received. And that worked really, really well for me. It allowed me to get that stack of books to shrink a little bit, but I have about 15 or so physical ARCs and review copies on my shelves, and I decided for April I was going to focus on that stack of books. So all of the books that are on my TBR are books that I have an ARC, a review copy, or an ALC for, but I am going on vacation in the month of April, and I'm not intending on reading the books that are on my TBR while I'm away. I am not going to bring anything physical. I'm just going to focus on using my Kindle and listening to audiobooks. Now that we've talked about how I got to the books that are on my TBR, let's just dive in and start talking about them. The first prompt that I had for April 2026 was to choose a romance to read, and this ended up being a really easy pick for me. I decided that I wanted to go with No Matter What by Cara Bastone. This is a new release for her, and I did have the digital ARC available to me, but I didn't get to it before release day. I believe this released on March 3rd, 2026. I've loved Cara Bastone's last 2 books, and I'm very intrigued and eager to see how I'm going to feel about this one. I don't know a ton about it. I do know, though, that it is a marriage in trouble. And I've read one other book like that, and it didn't really work for me. So I'm interested to see if it's that genre, that subgenre of romance, or if it was just the writing in the other book that didn't make the romance work. I'm actually already into this book. I read a few chapters of it right at the beginning of the month and then ended up switching courses. So I'm not very far in, but I'm curious and definitely eager to dive deeper with this. So I'm intending on finishing it very soon, very early in the month of April. Our next prompt is to read a book that was published this year, and I decided I was going to pick up How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shailee Thompson. This came out in February 2026, and I just didn't get to it at that time. I have always thought the idea of this book is intriguing, though. I didn't ever read the synopsis or anything, but I think the title gives a pretty good idea of what this is going to be about. It definitely is giving rom-com vibes, but with a bit of a sinister edge. So I was very curious and interested to add this to my TBR. This is the book I'm actually currently reading. I'm pretty far into it. I'm almost 300 pages in, and I've enjoyed it so far. It's definitely very interesting, and I think the narration, I'm listening to the audiobook as well as reading physically, has really been a good addition to my reading experience. So excited that I was able to get this on my April TBR, and that so far I'm enjoying it. Our next TBR prompt is to read the book that's been on your TBR the longest. And I have to be honest, I don't know if this is exactly correct, but I do suspect this is the book that's been on my physical ARC review copy list the longest, and that is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. I believe I was sent this when this new edition came out, but I'm not exactly sure. I am very curious about this. I've never read anything by this author before, but I've heard great things about several of his books. I also added this to my 26 books in 2026, as well as chose it for that challenge because it's sci-fi and I have a sci-fi challenge going on. So reading this will definitely check off a bunch of challenge related things for me. I genuinely have no idea what this is going to be about, and I think it's going to be interesting to read something that's sci-fi that I believe came out a decent amount of time ago. This was copyrighted in 1962. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. I don't know how I'm going to do with it, but I'm excited to find out. Our next prompt is to read an enemies to lovers book. And the book I ended up choosing for this was definitely in the running for book I've had the longest, and that's What the River Knows by Isabel Ibañez. I have had this for a very long time. This is part of a duology, and I was fortunate enough to receive review copies of this and the second book in the duology before the release date of the second book. So it's been, I think, about a couple years, 2 years since I've received these, and I don't know why it's taking me so long to pick this up because I'm very intrigued by the cover and I want to know what this is about. Another one that I have not read the synopsis for, and I'm not going to. I want to go in this blind and see how I feel about it. I'm also really curious to see if I like it enough to try to immediately or near immediately pick up book two. A lot of times I get into these duologies and I really like book one, and then it takes me forever to read the second book, and I want to get out of the habit of doing that. So maybe this will be a way for me to do that. Our next prompt is to read a book with a one-word title, and I knew immediately what I was going to choose for this prompt, and that is Bloodsinger by Juliette Cross. This is the second book in a fantasy series. Book one was Firebird. I was fortunate enough to receive a review copy of that and really, really enjoyed it, and I'm very excited to be able to pick up Bloodsinger. The unfortunate thing is that I'm not going to get to this before release day, which is unfortunate. This is coming out on April 7th, and I do have this physical review copy, but I also have the ALC for this. I'm excited to listen and read along together, and I do want to try to start this as soon as possible. Like, this is probably the next thing I'm going to start after I finish How to Lose a Guy in 10 Dates, but I'm not going to finish it before release date. I'm going to try to finish it as soon as I can after release date so I can review it. This series, this fantasy series, it's really interesting. It uses dragons in a unique way that I haven't seen as much in newer fantasy now that dragons have become super popular. I don't know, I'm curious. This is following a different character from book one, but related to book one, and I'm hopeful that I'm going to enjoy this. It's definitely very intriguing to me based on how book one ended. The last prompt that we have for my April 2026 TBR is to choose a book with flowers on the cover. And I actually only had one book that would apply for this prompt, and that is Wicked by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have not read anything from this author before. I believe that this is the first book in a trilogy, but that this trilogy has been previously released. I don't know if it's that it's being re-released with new covers or what's going on. I'm curious to see what this is about. I believe this is romantasy. I think that's primarily what Jennifer L. Armentrout writes, but I could be completely wrong in stating that. I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping that I like it. And if I do, I hope that means that I could pick up books 2 and 3 fairly soon, since again, I'm pretty sure they've been previously published before. And that is it for my April 2026 TBR. I'm a little nervous about some of the books that are in my TBR pile, but I'm also excited about several of them. I'm hopeful that I'm going to get a bunch of these off of my physical TBR this month. I think it would obviously be better if I was able to dedicate the entire month to reading ARCs, review copies, ALCs, but I just know myself and my ability to get to one of these while I'm on vacation and then have to review it while I'm on vacation, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to have that little bit of a break, but I will definitely be dedicated to the ARCs, ALCs, review copies before as well as after vacation. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you've read any of the books that are on my TBR, please do not hesitate to leave some spoiler-free thoughts down below. I love talking with people about books, and as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.